Hello everyone. We're here again. Today we have a very special guest, and she is a Serene Spiritual Empowerment Guide. I have to say it slowly because it's very special. Serene. To be really that dramatic. So I'm excited because I love this kind of things, especially spiritual. I'm very spiritual too. So she helps business owners. So for you business owners out there, listen up. Listen up because you're going to get so much out of this. So anyway, without further much ado, to everyone in the world, if you're in the morning time, good morning to you. If you're in the afternoon time, good afternoon. And evening, hello, good evening. Here is our guest today. Welcome, Geraldine. How are you today, Geraldine?
I'm okay. It's very much evening here, nearly time for bed.
Well, that's really interesting because you know how the world is your evening and I'm here like noontime, so but we're still able to connect, so and be able to serve the world, whoever is listening, and we can help one person. That's grateful. So just to get started, how or what do you do and who you are, like a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I am a Serene Spiritual Empowerment Guide, and I work with female, highly sensitive, heart-centered business owners, and I help them to realize how awesome they are. Basically, it's to help them to let go of that little voice in them saying that they're not good enough, the self-doubt, and quite often a lot of the people, and I'll explain probably later on, I work a lot with people who've been in any kind of toxic relationship, whether it's a partner, it kind of been a school bully, it kind of been a parent, and a friend, but somebody who in your life has left you with that feeling of, I'm not good enough, I can't do this. And when you set up a business, it tends to be all those feelings that come up a lot, the self-doubt, the comparing yourself to other people. So I help you to let go of all that using spiritual hypnotherapy and coaching, but I use Serene Spiritual Hypnotherapy and coaching. So that means which is my own unique way of working, but it means I help you to draw strength and connect with your spirit guides, angels, guides, ancestors, past loved ones, and by feeling their support, that can help you through, but also realizing that you are a powerful creator of your own life. And yeah, it's pretty special stuff.
So I was when I was listening to you, you mentioned about hypnosis or hypnotize or what?
So hypnotherapy, yeah.
Hypnotherapy. So it's like hypnotizing someone.
Yeah, so it's not what you see on stage where somebody hypnotizes you, makes you cluck like a chicken. It's nothing like that.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people imagine. It's got nothing to do with that. It's the same technique. You're putting somebody into a trance and putting suggestions in or helping to explore what's going on subconsciously. But whereas a hypnotist will make you feel, or makes it look like they're in control, a hypnotherapist is not about control. In fact, they're not in control. Anybody who goes onto a stage and does daft things is because they want to do daft things. You can't make anybody do what they don't want to do. But hypnotherapy is...
I have a question. How is it different? Because I was just looking at the videos I had a long time ago, and I came across to one time I attended a high school activity, and they had person who hypnotized them. So they have a few students. Okay, I'm going to volunteer And so they, like you said, they look like chickens, like they don't know what they're doing, and they're just like, okay.
Those hypnotists are very talented at picking out people who are extroverted, who are ready to perform, who are ready to do those things.
Really?
When you are, yes, very talented. When you're doing hypnotherapy, it's not about making you do anything. It's about helping you to be the best you can be. So it's working with your subconscious mind to reveal what are the things that your subconscious mind does to protect you that are actually holding you back. What are the things that, there may be habits it's developed. That's why it can really help with smoking and fears. And they're things that actually your subconscious thinks is doing to help you, but it's actually holding you back. So for a lot of my clients, it can be they have deep fears of success, or they have deep fears around being seen, or fears of other people's judgment. And it's helping the subconscious to realize that it's safe, that it's okay to be the true you, to really show yourself as you actually are. And you do it through putting people and I do it very gently. You can do it very quickly, but I do it very gently, put people into a real deep state of relaxation, which then opens the subconscious mind up, opens your imagination up. And we work with that to then put suggestions in that you are safe, that it's okay, that you are worthwhile, but also exploring in the subconscious. Maybe there's events that have triggered these beliefs that you hold about yourself. Maybe there's something that happened when you were a little girl, little boy, that have triggered you to not believe you're worthwhile. Maybe somebody said something when you were very young, and it can be one sentence sometimes. Somebody said when you were 5 that's led to massive issues as you get older. So it's about undoing those while you're in that deep state of relaxation.
So is that I'm now curious, when you're explaining to me, is way different than what I've seen, because this is not the first time I've seen that kind of thing. You know how in fairs, or
yeah, they don't do us any favors, those
they
people.
do that. So is that something that, just a question, is that something when you are in that condition where you are hypnotized, is that something where your mind doesn't even work at that time, because they're totally like, they don't know what they're doing, they don't even know what they did after
There is suggestions you can put in to get people to forget what they've done, but again, there is a limit to, if you put any suggestion to somebody to do something that they really wouldn't do, like if you asked an introvert, somebody who's very, very shy, to go and stand up and, strip naked and shout something, there is no way on this planet you will get them to do it. It doesn't matter how good a hypnotist you are. What those stage hypnotists are very good at is spotting the people who will do it. So the ones who are, they look for people who are more suggestible. There's certain tricks they use to get people who are suggestible, but there's also, they identify the people who are performers, who are wanting the attention, who, are willing to do those things, because they cannot get them to do something they're not willing to do.
Yeah, you may be right, because I remember one of the students, he tried to kind of tell him what to do, but he's not moving. It's not like a big change, but because that also was the first time I saw that this person did not follow what the hypnotist told him.
Yeah, if you don't want to be hypnotized, if I get somebody in my room and does not want to be hypnotized, it doesn't matter what I do, I cannot hypnotize them if they don't want to be. You have to be ready, willing. It's about building a rapport with your client so they feel safe with you, so they want to go into hypnosis because they want you to be able to help them. So you have to want to go into it, otherwise it doesn't work.
Truthfully, I'm scared to be a part of it.
Lots of people are. I mean,
what I see is just like, oh my goodness, what if I do something that's
your subconscious wouldn't allow you to. Your subconscious's job is to keep you safe. So if there is something you really don't want to do that would make you feel deeply unsafe, there is no way your subconscious would allow you to do it. And it's just, And a hypnotherapist anyway is very different. A hypnotist is entertainment. A hypnotherapist
Yeah.
is there to help you. So any
Oh, I
reputable
see.
hypnotherapist would never, ever, ever do that.
All right.
Never.
Now I understand better now that, yeah, the differences and
there's big difference between the jobs.
right. So that's good that you explain it, because I don't, I don't seem to see that. It's like purely entertainment,
Yeah, they
what
can
we're
be quite
doing.
damaging for us as
But
hypnotherapists. What
yeah,
people see on stage and what people see on movies. Movies
right.
don't help either. It can be quite, we have to undo a lot of that and really reassure people and let them know that they're safe with us, and that in itself can take time.
Mhm. So is it like is it like by session, where you have a certain time to talk, do your thing, to get into the mind of the person, or is it like just a bit of conversation between the two of you?
Every session's different.
Mhm.
Because I also coach. So I do coaching sessions where I talk around different spiritual principles and different spiritual teachings. So I go into that as part of my coaching to help people to use those spiritual teachings to enhance their lives. So I use coaching around things like Abraham Hicks teachings, Dr. Wayne Dyer, Michael Singer, Eckhart Tolle. These are all very well-known spiritual teachers, and I use their different approaches to help people to understand how they can create their experience of life, and how their thinking creates their experience of life, and how to change their whole experience of life by challenging beliefs about themselves that aren't true. So we do that through the coaching on a conscious level, but on a subconscious level, do it through the hypnotherapy. So if you were coming to me for a hypnotherapy session, you would either be online with me or in my room here. And I would slowly put you into a state of hypnosis through deep relaxation. As I say, there are much quicker ways to do it. It's just not the way that I choose to work, because a lot of the women I work with have had control taken away from them at some point or other, as many women have. And it's extremely important to me that no woman has her control taken away. So I work guiding them into a deep state of relaxation, usually using from talking to her places and things that make her feel relaxed and calm and safe, and help her to create in her mind somewhere very calm and safe that they feel really lovely in, before then exploring where are the issues coming from. So, and there's a million different ways to work with people in hypnosis. So it always depends on who you've got in front of you, what the issue is. But I do work, my Serene spiritual way of working is to help you meet your spirit guides and help them to guide us on what needs doing, but also working very much with your own higher wisdom, that soul's part of yourself, your true authentic self that knows you better than that. It's that inner wisdom that's connected to a divine energy that runs through everything. By connecting with that, we can be guided as to what's for your greatest good, because sometimes what you think is for your greatest good isn't necessarily. So it really working, rather than rather than me coming to you as a hypnotherapist and saying, I think you need this, this and this, I will be guided by your spirit guides and by your higher self. If there's deep on a subconscious level, you need to go and do this or that, then I will follow that and work with you.
When you mentioned about spiritual guide, are they someone, or is it like personal each person, or is it like?
It's so different for everybody that I work with. So many people I have people who, because I'm led by you, so it's who you see coming forward, and I have some mediumship skills, so I am able to feel certain things happening, but I don't, even if I can see an angel with you, I am not going to tell you that, because under hypnosis, I would be leading you and putting suggestions in. I want you to see it for yourself and trust in it.
Oh, so
So
you can see an angel?
I'm more, the way my mediumship works, I'm more aware of feeling an angel, and I will get odd images that come into my mind. I don't see them as I see you. So every medium's different, but when I'm working with somebody in Serene Spiritual Hypnotherapy, I will invite their guides to come forward. And sometimes, quite often, it's past loved ones that come forward, because they're the ones that vibrationally you connect with much easier. And you want them. So you're almost calling them in because you miss them, you want them. So that can be deeply emotional and really beautiful and incredibly healing. But often, you know, I've had angels come in, I've had ascended masters come in, I've had animals, you know, all sorts.
Wow.
Yeah, it's incredible what can come through.
Wow.
And I keep very much an open mind. I do think the spiritual realms beyond this can be beyond our imagination. So I'm very accepting of what comes through. What matters to me is, are you getting the healing that you need?
So
That's the important thing.
the other question, I just kind of thought while you were explaining, you know, that do you get messages before you meet the person?
Yeah,
Sometimes?
so what I tend to do, that it's part of the way I work with people, is I meditate before I see the client. Not for coaching, because I tend to I get messages sometimes whilst coaching, and sometimes I'll do card readings as part of the coaching. But when I'm doing hypnosis, I will meditate usually a day or two beforehand and ask for guidance on what this person needs. So I'll get directed to, you know, I have lots of different scripts that I use for hypnosis, and I'll be guided to, this is what this person needs, and this needs to happen this way. Or sometimes they'll say to me, look, you can prepare a script, but we're going to go on a different journey when you get that person into hypnosis. So just go with them. Sometimes I get a lot of information before I'm with them, sometimes not so much. And sometimes when I'm with them, then some information comes through, quite often towards the end of a Serene Spiritual Hypnotherapy, to enable you to really deeply embed any suggestions or learning that's come. You will get healing from your guides. So I will go quiet for a bit and let guides give you healing. But while you're doing that, I'll often be aware of messages or being aware of what spirit's doing. A good example is I gave healing to a woman recently in hypnosis who she was getting healing from her guides, but I was getting messages from her daughter who'd passed. So once she came round, once I woke her up, I would never again, I don't give those messages while they're in hypnosis, because that would be me leading somebody in hypnosis. And you don't do that. They've got to be discovering for themselves in hypnosis, never lead or put things into their minds. So I wait until she's woken up and she's come round a bit and fully back to her own awareness. And then I will say, this is what came through. And actually it was really beautiful what came through from her daughter. Just, you know,
Wow.
encouraging her to get on with her life and to love herself. It was really beautiful.
Yeah.
So I feel very, very honored to do this work.
I was you mentioned about daughter. I lost my first child. So it's like sometimes there's times when I, you know, think, what would she be like, you know, when
Of
she
course
grew
you do.
up, you know, things like that. And it's just a lot of things that comes to mind. But of course, I always believe that she's my angel, and I'm happy with that. And
Yeah.
you know, it's interesting because I'm talking to you right now. It's like, whoo, my curiosity is really high.
Yeah.
I wonder now. I keep wondering now. But anyway, yeah, it's so nice to be hearing you about these things, because we all, I mean, I have wonderings a lot of times, where I believe there's, aside from us, there's other beings that are not like us, but they're there. We just don't see them, or we don't feel them sometimes, although they may have been telling us something, but we're not paying attention. Because I
Mm-hmm.
also have some, incidents where I wonder, like, what is this smell that is really just passing by me? What is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
It's, and I don't give meaning to it, but I was talking to a friend and she said, no, you gotta think about it. Why? Who? Figure this out, because that is something. And I have been having all these little things around me, but I
Mm-hmm.
have one incident where I was in my room. That happened a long time ago, but I still remember it clearly, that I was in my room. I was crying. I was so desperate, sad, not desperate, but sad, really, really sad to the bones, like that. And I
I
was
do know, yeah.
crying, crying, and it's like, I can't even remember what I said, but I was really in sorrow. And all of a sudden, the world just changed. Like, it's just like I wasn't in the room where I was. It
Mm.
changed to like an opening, like no boundaries. And in front of me, I was sitting on the side of the bed, and there was a person in front of me. He was a glowing light,
Mm-hmm.
and he touched my head, and it just gave me that peace, like forever. It's like, I
Mm.
can't even explain. It's like it just opens up everything. Like, I don't know what opens up, but it just
Mm.
feels that way. And so it feels like forever, the time. And I just sit there, and then I was back. But for me, it was forever. But you know what? It
Mm.
was interesting because after that happened, I met a stranger, and she offered me a job, which I never expected. Like, everything just boom, 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 one after another. And it was like, whoa, everything was
Mm.
prepared. And so it's like, wow, that's miracle. I mean, so that's one experience I had that I always treasure, because it's like, wow, I never really thought I would be able to do
Mm.
such thing, because it was a teaching job. And
Beautiful.
I'm not I'm not a degree holder,
Mm.
but it was just everything, every detail was there to make sure I will be able to get the job.
Beautiful.
So
What a beautiful experience.
I know, it's like, oh my God. But anyway, I don't want to take it away from you. You're our guest today. So
No.
I'm just sharing it to you, because the point is, there is God, or
Mhm.
however you call it, the one,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
spirit, or
I give it 1,000 different names. Yeah.
Mhm. And I know some people don't believe God. I do, but I know some people don't see it that way, which is fine with me. But
Yeah.
from that experience, I really experienced that there is someone, the energy, or the one that is
Mm.
there. So whatever you're feeling, or whatever you're going through, a struggle,
Mm.
don't ever lose hope. There is
Yeah.
always hope.
And I think that's from everything that I do with my work, my main aim is for you to know that there is an energy out there, whether you want to call it God. I tend to call it divine universe or
Mhm.
divine intelligence, whatever. It really doesn't bother me the names that he used, but if you just know that there is a divine energy out there and it's got you and it loves you
Mhm.
unconditionally,
Yes.
unlimited, unending, it makes everything just that little bit easier.
Yes.
And you can you know, all the messages that I get certain messages over and over again through from spirit. The main one is that you are loved. The other one is, please ask us when you need help. And I say us because I see more than one energy. I see different, you know, I see the energy comes in different forms, like angels and things. That's just my experience. And the other thing that comes through time and time again is have fun. Like, they tell us to love ourselves, but have fun, like really get silly. How, you know, embrace your childlike side, because it lifts your vibration up. It keeps you see things much more clearly. You make better decisions, you know. So I actively encourage my clients to get silly and to really embrace their childlike side and look at the world through awe, wonder, curiosity, compassion, you know. And it's once, you know, what I find is by the time people have completed, I do a program called Fearlessly SERENE, and by the time people have finished it, they're seeing more of the beauty in the world. They have more gratitude, and they are really embracing who they are. They respect and love themselves. So it's different with different people. Some people, by the time I've finished with them, you know, are absolutely in love with themselves. Others are just starting on that journey. It's different for different people, but they all just start stepping into, this is who I am, and I deserve love and respect simply because I exist, you know. And they start putting those pressures on themselves and start really taking care of themselves. It's beautiful.
Oh yeah,
Really.
it's beautiful. So question is, how did you kind of get into this thing?
So as I was explaining earlier, it's a bit of a long story really, but I'll try and keep it short.
Make it long. We want the details and the juices and the excitement and everything that, you know.
I'll give you all the ups and downs. So it's kind of complicated. The main reason I do what I do now is about 4 or 5 years ago, I was in a pretty dark place. I'd been struggling with anxiety since I was a small child. I think I'm a very sensitive person, and even was as a child, and which can lead to increased levels of anxiety. And I was really struggling with it. I'd already had a couple of breakdowns from it and was heading that way again. But I was seeing a really good counselor who was fantastic, and I'd seen her a few times before, and she'd been helping me to realize that my relationship with my mother was really harmful for me. That whilst I loved her, and I think she loved me in her own way, but she was quite manipulative, demanding. Whatever I did was never really good enough. She was emotionally very demanding. She never hurt me physically. She never, you know, I was always well fed and all that kind of thing, but she would self-harm in front of me. She became heavily dependent on me because she had physical and mental health issues, and a responsibility was placed on me for her happiness and for her well-being from being a very young age. And when I started to try, I really believe as a parent, we set roots down and we give our children wings. My roots were very much built around, I need you and you need to be here, and the wings were very well and truly clipped. Like, you can't leave me.
So how old were you when you when you get into that? You mentioned about when you were younger, you know.
So I became her carer when I was about 12.
Oh, okay.
And I was caring for her physically as well as emotionally and mentally. So I would, you know, help wash and dress her, but I was also taking scissors off her, stopping her cutting herself. You know, I was talking her down when she would get into big emotional meltdowns. I felt like her well-being was my responsibility. So if she had a bit of meltdown, I'd even feel guilty that she'd even got into it, because I should have prevented it. You know, I carried around a huge weight of responsibility. And this counselor had helped me to realize how much my mother perpetuated it and encouraged it. And as I'd grown older and tried to, fly the nest and have my own wings and have a life of my own, she'd become increasingly controlling and would make me feel, try and make me feel dreadful for just basic things like not wanting to answer my phone 5 times a day, just wanting to have a life of my own without guilt. And it didn't go down well. And so at this point, about 5 years ago, my work experience is I was a probation officer for years. And then I worked with addiction, and then I went to work with women who were recovering emotionally from domestic violence. So I helped them in the emotional recovery. And whilst I'd been working in that, one of the things that you do when you help women to recover is to get them to understand that the reason they feel so shocking is the abuse they suffered was way more complicated than they realized, that there was so many different elements to it. So much more than just being hit. There is emotional, psychological, financial, spiritual. So as I was getting to understand all the different forms that abuse could take, I started to recognize that I too had been victim to it from my mum. And as I started seeing this counselor, she also helped me to really start getting my head around that. And she just one day, I was in a really dark place because I just lost my job working with these domestic violence victims. Things had gone very wrong in the charity that I worked for, and I lost my job, and I thought it was my dream job. I just felt like everything was falling apart, but at the same time was under a lot of pressure from my mum. My daughter was just being diagnosed autistic and had learning difficulties, so everything was kind of piling up. And it was my counselor who just said to me, what would life look like without your mum in it? And I was like, I can't do that. I love her. She said, okay, but we need to put boundaries in place. There's certain things that you need to do. And Christmas was just coming up, and I had my mother-in-law coming to stay. The usual, as mums, we want to make Christmas wonderful and beautiful for our young children. So pressure was building up in my head, and I couldn't cope with also having my mum come to stay. They didn't get on that well, and it would have, just the thought of having to manage it all was causing me to get even more ill. And my counsellor gave me the strength to say to my mum, maybe don't come to me for Christmas. There was other options. But when I rang her and said, I'm not well, I can't cope. Can you spend Christmas, elsewhere? Just don't, please give me a break this Christmas. Her response was one of such anger and bitterness and a total disregard for me and what I needed.
Well, yeah, and also, just kind of think about it. You as the daughter, it must be hard for you to even say those words to her.
It was, yeah, it was. I mean, I wouldn't have said it if I wasn't
right
at the end of my tether. And the response I got back, and you know what, I'm really grateful she gave me that response, because it gave me the impetus to say, look, to know that I was never going to get well while she was still in my life. With that toxic energy in my life, there was no way I could heal the way I needed to heal, and particularly the way I needed to heal to be the mother I wanted to be to my children.
Right.
I was losing my temper with my children. I was not being the mother I knew I could be. And I knew I needed to heal. Something needed to change. I couldn't keep having breakdowns. I couldn't keep not being able to work and not being able to function. I needed to heal, and I couldn't do it with her in my life. So I texted her and I said, I'm really sorry it's come to this. I did not want this, but I have no other choice. You have to stay away from me and my children. And give her full credit, she's stayed away. But it's been a really long healing journey when that toxicity has come from somebody who was such a huge part of your life. Nobody has a bigger influence on you than your mother if you're brought up by them. And the undoing of so much programming that was in there, that my worth came from taking care of other people, that I must always have I must always be watching and putting other people first. That even though she would say to me, you know, you always put yourself first, but a very close second. But there was always this, but I must be at the forefront of your mind all the time. And so there was a lot of people pleasing habits, a lot of stuff around my own value and really loving and honoring myself. So I went on a really long journey. So I saw my counselor for a while longer. I was very blessed. She was a very good counselor. I then trained as a hypnotherapist. I got hypnotherapy myself to help with, I had absolute terror at the thought of seeing her, absolute terror. And hypnotherapy shifted that for me. And then
What was your terror about?
I was just, I was
Terrified.
so scared of bumping into her and what her response would be, that she would bring up the guilt, and I wouldn't, I just wasn't sure I'd be able to cope.
Yeah, it'd be hard.
She had a spell over me for such a long time, and the chords rang deep, you know. I had loved and adored her. She was the center of my universe for many years, to a really unhealthy degree. And she loved that, you know, and it was when that started changing that she got more controlling. And there's so many complicated emotions, there's so many ups and downs, and I just was very scared of how I would function with that. I was scared of my children going running into her arms, you know. There was scenario after scenario going through my head. Would she scream at me? Would she make a fuss? You know. So there was a lot going on. But the hypnotherapy really helped. I just kind of came out with the kind of feeling of indifference, which when you've had real terror, numbness and indifference is beautiful. It's really beautiful. It's just like, I don't care. You know, I need to do what I need to do for me. So then after I trained as a hypnotherapist, lockdown hit. Literally just as I was trying to start my business, lockdown hit. And I decided I needed to let my business go quiet so I could look after my children. Their well-being through that was my priority. But I also realized if I was going to look after their well-being, I had to look after mine. So I took 2 hours every morning where they went on screens and did what they needed to do. Luckily, they were old enough, they could do that. And I came into my therapy room and I meditated, I read, I did card readings, I channeled, I journaled, everything. And I was getting through beautiful messages of reassurance around everything. So I started sharing those online, and started realizing that whereas before I hadn't dared bring my spirituality into my work for fear of scaring people off, I started realizing this is where I need to be going and need to be heading down that line. But I also started using this time to do a lot of inner work, inner child work, inner healing. And spirit were helping me a great deal with that. And then they guided me to contact a coach who coached the 3 principles, which is a spiritual idea of understanding that we're experiencing our thinking, not our circumstance. There's a lot more to it than that, but that's the quickest way I can explain it right now. And it was from a spiritual philosopher called Sid Banks. One of the main teachers now is a guy called Michael Neal, and I read his book and it had a profound effect on me. So I started coaching that way. And then spirit started getting more involved in my hypnotherapy, and things just slowly evolved. And I started reading and reading and reading. And all these things that I was picking up, I was healing, I was getting better. Everybody else is starting to get more panic through lockdown, and I'm getting calmer and happier and really embracing who I truly was and letting my business form around that, and bringing people much more spiritual business. And that's how the Serene spiritual thing evolved. So bringing spirit into hypnotherapy, teaching people about these spiritual teachings, and really helping people to find their inner peace, to realize that they have an innate resiliency built into them. That there's nothing, you're not broken, you don't need fixing, you just need to really connect with who you truly are. So it's basically everything that helped me heal is what I've put together in my Fearlessly Serene program or my Soul Cleanse package, and it's to really help people to know that they're beautiful divine beings with amazing capacities who can do beautiful things, and that they're worthwhile just because they exist.
Mhm.
We don't need to
I like
serve
you
others.
said, you are not broken. And that's true. Nobody is broken.
Nobody's broke.
It's we put it on us, you
Yeah, we
know,
do.
and a lot of times we just want to stick to it because it's convenient or comfortable.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things I had to let go of with the anxiety was when my anxiety was, and I don't like saying my anxiety, I'm not owning it, when the anxiety was bad, you know, when I was like 20, I had a huge breakdown with depression and anxiety. And when it got that bad, my mum used to give me a break. My mum would actually take care of me.
Oh,
So there was a real secondary benefit to me having anxiety, that
oh,
people would give me a break. Some of the stuff would come off and I'd get taken care of for once rather than being the carer. That got less and less with my mum as I got older. But it was something I had to realize. One of the ways I had to retrain my subconscious, my mind, my brain, to realize that having anxiety was not making me safe. It wasn't protecting me as it had done when I was younger, which is where so many issues come from. It's where addiction comes from. It's, you know, it's something that the body or mind thinks has made it safe, so it keeps going back to it. And that's how you form a trauma bond with somebody who harms you, because they harm you but they rescue you from it as well. So my mum would put me under this deep pressure. She would put me on pedestals, like, you know, you've been caring for me since you were 12. But then she would call me a bad carer because I hadn't done something the way she wanted it doing, and knock me off the pedestal. And then I'd feel terrible, and then she'd rescue me from it, and it would go round like that.
yes, yeah, going round in circles like that, huh?
And that causes a trauma bond. So you become dependent on them because they're the only ones who can help you, but without realizing actually they're the ones causing the problem. Yeah.
Wow, must be tough to be, you know, in a situation like that, because like you said, you love your mom, and to be cutting her off your life is, you
It's
know, it's
hard.
like at the back of your mind you must be thinking like, you know, that what happens to her, or because she's still your mom no matter
Yeah.
what, right?
Yeah. I don't feel any guilt. I know people probably be shocked by that. I
Well,
don't
that's
feel any
good.
guilt.
That's good.
Yeah. And I
That
don't feel any shame.
guilt is what kind of kills us.
Yeah. And the thing is, I've done what I had to do to keep myself and my children safe and happy and well. And I'm afraid she has to take responsibility for why did her and daughter have to do that.
Right.
You know, I tried putting boundaries in place. I tried saying this is what I need, and she couldn't hear it. That's not my responsibility. She's got inner stuff, you know, her mental health. Yes, there's stuff going on, it's just stuff she needs to heal, but that's her responsibility. That is not mine. And it's one thing when we get into a relationship of any kind with an abuser, quite often, particularly like if you are with a covert narcissist, they will be the victim and everything will be about them, and you kind of feel like your heart goes out to them and you want to fix them. You can't. They've got to do the work themselves. Covert narcissists very rarely will, and that's their problem. You know, you kind of you have to
I mean,
take care of yourself.
you had a really good point there, because me personally, I was that person as well, you know, where I put that guilt in me, and I just do whatever it takes to help someone else, not me. I put
Yeah.
myself at the back because, okay, I have to care for this person because she did a lot for me. And so myself, okay, I'm able to handle myself. I'll be just waiting for my time. But there's a time it will come to you where, wait a minute, I've been helping this person, but what do I get? You know, you question that. And
Yeah.
that's very I like that you mentioned and you admit and you know own it, that you have no guilt, and that's good, because guilt is what really uh, destroys our desire to change, for me, because like I said, I had been in that situation, and I couldn't get out of it because of the guilt. I see it as, okay, she did something for me and I have to do something for her, and I'm capable enough than her, so I have to do more, and I have been doing that for so long too. So I totally get it, and I started like my journey, like just like you have your journey and I have my journey. So
Everybody does, yeah.
it takes your journey. When you had that journey, it starts to make you see that, okay, there's things that you can control or you can be guilty of, okay, because you still have to have a little bit to kind of keep us grounded and remember, and you know, things like that, learn from it. But always put yourself first, because just like when you know, get on the plane, if something happens and the oxygen mask drops down, who's the first one that they tell to put on?
You've got to
Is
put
it
on yourself
your
first.
company or is it you? So you have to put on yourself first, and then you can help someone else, because the time you put on there, it will take you time to do that, and then you lose too, instead of, you know, saving you, right?
Exactly. I always say to my clients, the best gift you can give to people is your happiness. If you're happy, you're in a much better state to help them get happy. If you're unhappy, you can't help anyone,
right?
You know, you do have selfishness. There's a difference between being selfish and doing things that harm other people, but taking care of your needs means you can take care of others much better. You know, and you have a right to take care of your needs, you know.
And I can say that it's also because, you know, there's just so many like rules when we were growing up, or like a social you know, like a natural thing that, okay, you're a girl and so you do this, you're a boy so you do this kind of thing. So grew up all of these things, and we keep it in mind that, okay, I'm a girl and I have to do certain way, and I'm a boy, I do it certain way, and which sometimes or a lot of times don't really serve us.
Definitely. It's realizing we're all individuals, you know. And I truly believe the main reason we're here going through this human experience, because I do believe we're all spiritual beings having a human experience,
right? I like that.
That we are, the journey we're here to learn is to love ourselves. To love ourselves compassionately. So it's not loving yourself as in I'm awesome. It's loving yourself that when you make mistakes, you go, okay, it's all right, we'll get through this. The same as you would with your children, or it's loving yourself with that same compassion. You know, you don't think you're perfect, but you love yourself because of that, you know. When a few years ago, I'm terrible for making silly mistakes. Burning pizzas is I'm brilliant at burning pizzas. Ask my husband, I'm not allowed to cook pizzas in our house. But years ago, I would have been, had I burnt the pizza, shouting at myself, berating at myself, because I didn't like myself and I put way too much pressure on myself. Now I burn the pizza, it's just that oh well, you know, and I'm much more loving to myself. It's okay, it's just a pizza. I'll get over it.
That's
and
good.
It's just those, I can truly say that I've got to a point where I love myself. Some
Mhm.
days I don't always like the way I look. Some days I don't always like the stuff I've said, or, but I love myself despite all that, and I love myself through it, and like somebody once said to me, now you've cut your mum out, have you found a surrogate? Have you found somebody else to mother you? And I said, no, I look after me. You can't wait for somebody else to rescue you. You can't wait for somebody else to take care. You've got to do it for yourself.
Right. Yeah. So you are your best friend.
Yeah, you are. You're
Mhm.
the one. I always say, talking to my son about this
And
the
you
other
can
night, I
also
said,
be your best enemy.
yeah, well, you
And
can, and
that's
that's your
why, and
choice.
that's,
It's
yeah,
a
and that,
choice.
yeah, and that's why it
Mm.
is important to love yourself.
Yeah, I
Because,
said to
yeah,
my son the other night, I said, look, the one person you have to live with 24/7 for the rest of your life is you.
you,
So get to love you, because it will
right.
make life so much nicer. I'm actually, I'm in the middle of writing a book at the minute, because I'm writing a book about my relationship with my mom.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna say
Yeah,
earlier, it's like,
and
are you planning to write a book?
yeah, I am, yes. And I'm
Good.
writing it also about what helped me recover, and then sharing the way I work with people. So my serene spiritual way of working, I'm sharing. But and one of the main reasons I want to do it is not, it's not a woe is me, look what happened to me at all. It's not a, pointing and being, saying horrible things about my mom, because actually you'll see in the book that I talk about some of the wonderful things she gave me. She gave me a real passion for the arts. She gave me a real passion for animal rights, for the environment, for equality. I'm very grateful to her for many, many things. And actually, one of the things that breaks my heart the most is actually, I think she had a wonderful capacity to be an amazing mother. It's just her fear that stopped her. And one of the reasons I want to share this story is to get people to understand that your mother, anybody in your life, they don't have to beat you. They don't have to neglect you to cause harm. That harm can show in much more subtle ways, but be really powerfully effective on your life. And that it's okay that even when they're not dreadful, to still need space from them. I'm not saying everybody should be cutting, if you haven't got the perfect mother, cut her out, not at all.
Right.
But you have a right to put yourself first.
And having boundaries does help a lot, because I have experienced that too, where like I mentioned earlier, like putting yourself just behind all the time because you're trying to please someone else. You put your time and effort to help someone, and you're actually in need of help, but you don't mind it, you know. And a lot of times, and a lot of us do that.
Yeah.
So having boundaries is good.
But it's also making sure that you realize your boundaries are for yourself, not for the other person. A lot of people are like, well, they push my boundaries, they're doing this, they're doing that. Your boundaries are for you to decide what you are willing to accept.
Right. If it makes you happy to do such thing, then do it.
There are times where you have to, if you've got a parent with dementia, they're going to say and do things that you don't like. They're going to treat you in ways you don't like. And you do have to kind of put them first to a certain point, but it's about so I will also work with a lot of my clients about, how do you look after your energy? How do you, I always say to my clients, you need to make sure you're doing something for yourself before you see them, to make sure that you have the capacity to deal with them, and then you do something for yourself afterwards. So there's a lot around self-care in the way that I work with people, and lots of different tools that I use to help with that, because it's so important to be aware of. There is certain people that you can be around, whether they mean to or not, who drain your energy, and some people who really give them. I did a short TikTok video the other day. I don't do many, but I did a short one the other day, and I was trying to explain that some people bring air to your life. They bring balloons, they bring air, they bring fun, they bring lightness, they fill your balloon. But some people bring a pin. some people just want to pop your balloon, but it's realizing that it's not their pin that's the problem. It's if you really love and value yourself, it's like you've Teflon coated your balloon, and it just gets harder to pop. But also, if you are living a life of joy and gratitude and really taking care of yourself, your vibration will be so high, your balloon will be so high, they just can't reach. That pin will not go anywhere near your balloon.
Good.
So,
That's good analogy, huh?
yeah. So it's not, the pin is not the problem. It's
Right.
making sure that you really value your balloon.
And that's very true. We focus so much on that one negative thing. When, just like the paper that has one dot, and the paper is clean, but we focus on that one dot that's right there. And we do that a lot.
Yeah, we
do
do
that a lot. I mean, I do that a lot. I would admit I do that a lot. But yeah, it's it's a journey to start shifting your mind to see the paper or the balloon instead of the pin or the period dot.
And it takes practice. Like I say to my clients, that's why I'm a coach. I don't expect people to come and see me and walk out the door suddenly happy, wonderful. I said, you don't walk into a gym and come out with a six-pack. You have to put the work in.
Right.
But it's about catching yourself. It's using your emotions as a real signal that something's up, and I'm thinking something that's harming me here. It's way more. I could talk for hours about this, but it's the catch. It's catching yourself.
Yeah.
It's not about trying to think positive all the time, because that can be very damaging in itself. So it's about just real compassion and taking care of yourself and catching the times and challenging the beliefs you're holding about yourself, becoming more aware of yourself and reaching out just for a next best feeling. You can't jump from despair to joy, but what you can do is jump from despair to, okay, this will pass. And and it's like I say, you can't go, if you're feeling really low, you can't listen to really happy music. It's at the wrong vibration. You can't go from really down to really up. You have to be kind and let yourself do it in those stages. But
so some things can be taught, but some things you can caught.
You can learn to catch them. So it's the cat. Like I still can get anxiety. In fact, I've had quite a bad bout this week for, I don't know why even, but the difference is where anxiety like that would have knocked me on my bum for months before, within days, I'm getting on top of it because I'm catching the thoughts about myself that aren't true. I'm catching I'm seeing that I'm imagining things. I'm going into an imagined future that doesn't really exist, and I need to come back to the present moment and seeing what I'm doing, and I'm catching, and I know the things that I need to do to take care of myself. I know I need to take moments of stillness. I know I need to go meditate. I know I love listening to musicals. I put musicals on at high volume and sing at the top of my voice,
Wow.
I know that makes me feel better. So it's learning, it's getting to know yourself, like really know yourself and know what's good for you and how to work with it. As I say, there's multiple layers to the way I work with people, and I could talk for hours in detail about it, but it's really about coming to love yourself.
I can see yourself like, maybe the next thing you're gonna do is going to be entertainment. Yeah, if that makes you happy, like you might develop that. Why not? One after another.
Yeah.
Wow.
I want to bring, my aim with my work all the time is how can I bring this to as many people as possible, because I would just want people to know that they aren't broken, and that they are loved, and that they can love themselves, and that's okay, and that's good, and that's wonderful, and it's just really getting them to connect with that.
And having some tools, like you show them, let them lead the way, and just kind of guide them through those tools can really help them to navigate it when those moments come back again, because
Yeah.
it's not like okay, you're good today and it's gone forever. No, it's like journeys comes back, sometimes visits us. So with the tools that you help them with, then they'll be able to know what to do next,
Yeah.
and it will be easier.
Yeah. It's about realizing that the way I describe it to my little boy, because I try and help him because he can get quite anxious, is, you have an internal sunshine. It's that part of
Mm.
you that's attached to a divine intelligence, divine energy, whatever it is, but there's like an eternal sunshine. And yes, we can have dark days where we
Mhm.
have dark thoughts, but the thoughts are just like clouds. They'll pass if you let them.
Right.
If you dive into them and try and figure them out, you'll make them big and turn them into tornadoes. But if you can just let them keep passing and just have faith that your internal sunshine
Right.
cannot go away, it's always
Right.
there and it will come back. And that in itself just makes you so much more resilient and able to cope.
Wow. Wow. This is really interesting because the things that we talk about, or you even mention, are basically a lot of people are struggling and going through. And so, with that said, if we can help one person today,
Yeah,
I would be
exactly.
really, really grateful for
So
that. Because,
exactly.
a lot of times we're so busy about probably earning money, or busy with so many things in our life that we forget to take care of the one and only person that
Mm,
really needed it most, which is you.
ourselves. Yeah.
you know so
Yeah.
yeah, that's and hopefully, yeah, hopefully we can help as many as whoever's listening to this. There's always help, and yeah, be your best friend and love
Mm,
yourself.
mm,
Give self love all the time, because
yeah.
you are your best friend.
Yeah. It's
So,
so true.
just a
And
curious question though. Has your mom ever contacted you, or you have contacted her?
no, we saw each other without talking to each other at a family member's funeral, but apart from that, no.
Oh,
No.
okay.
And I don't think that's going to change. I think it's sad, but my life is so much calmer, so much easier. Yeah. I think if you say to my husband, maybe I should contact my mum, his whole body goes, really? No, only kidding.
Well, time
No,
will
I don't,
tell.
unless she takes some responsibility.
Mhm.
No. The sadness comes is to other family. Most of the rest of the family is
Mhm.
actually and I hate to say sided, but they've sided with me
Mhm.
and I have their support. And I was very blessed to even have the support of my maternal grandmother. She was amazing. She was my rock. um she really understood and supported me, and yeah, she was amazing. She passed a couple of years ago, but there are other family members who are stuck in the middle a little bit,
Mhm.
and they're the ones that my heart really goes out to. They're the ones my focus is on.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say I feel guilty, but I worry about
Mhm.
them.
Yeah.
They're the
Yeah.
ones that I'm bothered about.
Yeah. For sure. There's different people, they have different way of looking at what happened. And so that's expected. But
Yeah.
overall is, if you're happy,
Mm.
that's the most important thing for you, for your family,
Um
especially
yeah,
for your children, because they'll
yeah,
see it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the most important jobs as a parent is to show your children how to be happy. And
Right.
I'm the happiest I have ever been. And
Mhm.
that tells you everything. And I
Wow.
attract into my life now the most beautiful, mainly women, I have to say. I work with women. I tend to attract colleague women,
Hmm.
and I attract the best women, they're just my clients, the people I work alongside, the ones I network with, just are amazing. Absolutely
Good.
phenomenal.
Good for you. So with that said, how do people contact you, or what do you
So
have?
the easiest way to find me is my website, which
Mhm.
is dead simple. It's www.geraldinecrane.com. Or I am on Facebook, and you can again find me, just Geraldine Crane. My personal profile is also my public profile. My work profile is Geraldine Crane Serene. Instagram, Geraldine Crane Serene. I'm on TikTok as Geraldine Crane. If you can't find me, you're not looking.
That's the best answer.
But yeah,
like
I'm there. You can find me. But yeah, the best way is to go to my website, and all the details are on there.
So yeah, for the last question is, how do you see yourself in 5 years?
Okay, so I dream big.
Good.
So yeah, I'm going to go for it here. I'm going to be
Yeah.
completely honest with you. When I meditate on this, all I get shown is me traveling, speaking all over the world, and my book being published and selling really well. Spirit just keeps saying to me, write the book, this book's important, I'd love to be published by somebody like Hay House, you know, and traveling around meeting and talking with people like Michael Neal, Anita Mojani, Gabby Bernstein, you know, really Lee Harris, spiritual teachers and channelers and mentors that I just really, really look up to. Yeah, I see images of me just doing these public talks and stuff, and more helping, you know, with the coaching and the hypnotherapy, just reaching as many people as I can. And also having a life of abundance. And I have a dream of having a camper van and being able to travel around and you know, take my children with me. And I meet people through my work all over the world, and I want to go and meet them, you know, not on the screen. So yeah, I see a lot of travel and a lot of fun, and abundance, and I want to be making enough money that my husband can work for me, because he doesn't you know, always enjoy what he does, and he really wants to work for me, which would be lovely. So yeah, I have big dreams, and I'm going for it.
I want to retire my husband too.
Yeah.
He doesn't really need to, but I want him to stop working. He's so hardworking.
Yeah, mine too.
It's very
I just
hard
want to give him a break.
You know, when somebody's so hardworking, it's like, okay, can you please stop and sit down? Like they just don't want to do that. So
I want to give him the capacity to follow his heart, to not feel the pressure of having to, you know, be the breadwinner. For years he has been. We used to share it equally, but now it's very much on him. It's changing. My business is growing and things are moving in the right direction. But yeah, that's my dream, is to give him the space to really follow his heart too, because he's really supported me in this. He's been phenomenal. He is I am very, very blessed with my husband. I managed to marry my best friend, my soulmate. He's
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So when is your book coming?
Oh, well, I've only just done the first few chapters, so I don't want to put too much pressure on myself, but I'm hoping in the next few months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just kind of, you know, nice to get an idea when it's coming.
Yeah, as soon as I can.
I'm already excited because, you know, like just like when you were talking, I said, oh my, it just telling me that she needs to write a book. Write a book. It just keeps popping in my head while we're talking now.
It's coming, I know.
So yeah, I'm glad that, you know, it's already in fruition and coming up soon. So anyway, I thank you very much. We had a really, really interesting conversation. I love everything about it. You know, I'm crazy about spiritual things because I have a really beautiful spiritual journey as well myself. And it's a good idea to talk about it and hopefully share from to others, because I know a lot of people are hurting, especially nowadays with COVID and all this craziness. It's difficult. And that's the fact that I hear so many things about people, really depressed, and even children not talking. It breaks my heart to hear those things, because like you said, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and we all are. And so with that said, with all the conversations we have, I'm excited that if somebody can be helped, or if you need help, reach out. We're here for you. And don't do it alone. And you're not alone, because we're here for you. All right. So thank you very much, Geraldine, for your being my guest and for your time, of course. And I know we went too fast. Like almost an hour. So
it wasn't 20 minutes.
But it's worth it. It's worth it. I tell you, it's worth more than the time. I don't mind that, because it's really special to have you here, and hopefully can help anybody, or one person is fine, but if we can help more people, it's the best. So we will be back next time, everybody, and love yourself. Give yourself a self-love. That's double love now, huh? So, bye for now, and we will be back for our next guest. We'll see you. Bye-bye.